Hello and thank you for purchasing our products. Today we're going to show you the assembly process of one of our cabinets from Viper Tool Storage. To begin, we need to familiarize ourselves with all the parts and make sure we lay them down on a clean flat surface. Afterwards, we grab our hardware and we begin attaching it to the initial parts before assembling of the box itself. Begin by unpackaging the hardware required. This version of our cabinet, it will be the upper, the one above our cabinets, and it will require 2 pneumatic struts to begin with. There is a multiple set of 6 holes and a little round bracket, which will go in one of those positions. We line them up with the little holes and fasten them with a screwdriver. It takes 3 screws per bracket. We're going to repeat the same process on the other side. Line up the holes and fasten the screws. At this stage, these 2 parts are complete for assembly, and we can put the 2 flat brackets and the remaining hardware that comes with them, along with the struts, on the side until the end. This is the left and right side of the cabinet. We can proceed by attaching the hinge plates and the hinges themselves to the sides. The next stage in the assembly process will be to fasten the remaining of the strut parts on the door, which is part RR. The 2 oval-shaped brackets will go with the pins facing outwards in the 2 holes on each side of the door. Fasten them with the remaining screws. Line up the bracket to be equal spacing between both holes. And repeat the same process on the other side. Once the brackets are installed, we're going to fasten the hinges to the door. Flip the locks upwards, align the hinge in the cup hole and push it down and lock it in place. Repeat the same on the other side. And at this point, we're done with pre-assembling our door, and we can put it aside as well. Proceeding with our next step will be to fasten the hinge plates to the top of the cabinet, which is part NN. Make sure you line them up with the little extension facing outwards and the open slot facing toward the inside of the cabinet. Fasten them with a screwdriver again. Make sure not to over-tighten them. And repeat the same process on the other hinge plate. And at this stage, we can put our top part aside for finishing assembly. And now we are ready to continue the assembly of our cabinet. Begin by laying part E on the flat, clean surface and grab part MM. Align the green clips with the oval lock slots and make sure that part NN is toward the shorter distance of the round strut bracket. Press it down into its location and push it slightly forward until it locks and stays straight. There we go. Now we can grab part NN and repeat the same process. We line it up, the green clips, with the oval lock slots, making sure that the 3 pinholes are facing toward the inside of the cabinet. Lock it in place and slightly slide it forward. Make sure that it stays in place. The next step will be to put our nailers in place. Nailer D1 will be the one toward the top of the cabinet. Make sure that the metal pins are facing part NN, and also the cutout is facing toward the inside of the cabinet. Align the green lock with the oval slot, put it in place and slightly slide it forward so it stays. Part D5 will be your bottom nailer. Repeat the same process, except this time make sure that the cutout is facing toward the outside of the cabinet. Line it up with the oval lock and slightly slide it forward so it stands up. The final step will be to grab the top of the cabinet, which is part FF, and line up all the green clips. Lay it flat on top and start positioning them in their places. Now we flip the cabinet on its back on the two nailers. In order to do that, make sure we hold the part NN and FF pressing toward each other, and we simply tilt the cabinet down. We press the top of our cabinet, which is the one part NN with the two nail plates, and we lock it down in place until both sides of EE and FF are flush with it. Grab parts EE and FF again, rotate the cabinet on part NN. Take part B3, which is our back. Make sure that the finish end is facing the inside of our cabinet. Align it with the grooves. And slide it in place. Press it down until it goes fully inserted into part NN. It goes beyond the top of the cabinet. Now we hold parts FF and E again and turn it back on part B3. We press part MM in place, grab the two sides of the cabinet, part FF and EE, rotate it on part NN, and we slide the back in place until it falls in its grooves. Okay. Now we put the clits in their positions using the provided hammering block. Make sure that the cabinet is laying on the part against which you're going to be putting pressure. If it's required, use the hammering block to tap it in place. Now turn the cabinet on the opposite side. Align the metal pins with the holes at the top of your cabinet and use the provided hammering block. And this is the complete of your box assembly. To fasten your door, align the hinges with the hinge plates. Part RR with part NN. Clip them on and press them forward until you hear a click. And your door is fastened. The last step will be to attach the pneumatic struts. Make sure the extension is facing toward the cabinet, line it up and press it in. Repeat the same process with the elongated slot on top. Line it up and press it in. Do the same on the opposite side. Final step will be to attach the handles. To install the handle, open your door, unpackage the handle itself and the 2 screws that come with it. Feed one of the screws through the hole, line up the handle with it, and slightly hand tighten it. Repeat the same process for the opposite side. And then using a hand screwdriver, tighten it in place. Making sure not to over tighten the bolts. And now your cabinet is ready to be hung.
To see more great products from Viper Tool Storage, log on to vipertoolstorage.com.